Virtual machines are really just carved out tiny pieces of the hardware on the host machine itself. It carves out CPU, memory, storage, and then you're able to install something on there. But you have to think about the networks as well, because obviously the host servers have their own network devices and they belong to a network themselves, but they have to create a virtual networking world that all of your VMs can live in happily. So they not only have to provide the hardware like CPU and RAM, but they also have to provide a whole virtual network. And there's several options that you can have. You can have bridge networking, NAT networking, local networking, and I want to cover another couple things that we're going to talk about as well with regards to networking in a virtualized environment. So here we have, this is going to be our host server. It has its own network device and it's connected to a physical network, other computers, maybe other hosts on the network and computers and, a router, and then it's connected to the internet. And then inside all of its virtual machines are connected to an overlay network, or like a virtualized network itself. And that network has to be completely done with software because there's no physical wires, go in the computer that are going from virtual computer to virtual computer. So it's all software based, overlaid on top of the actual physical network. And it's overlaid because even though this is all software based, it's not pretend, right? It's real because these computers have to be able to talk to these computers or have to be able to get out to the internet. So it's really important to understand that while it is virtualized, it's still a real network that is overlaid inside of the host environment. And there are, like I said, some options for the virtual machines when it comes to what sort of networking they're given. And there's three here I'm going to cover. So we start with bridge networking. Now, bridge networking is really interesting because, well, just to be clear, this is our host. This is its network connection to the rest of the network and the internet. And then in here is its internal overlaid virtualized network kind of thing. In a bridge situation, the virtual machine actually shares the network connection of the host, meaning that it gets an IP address on the network over here, just like the host's network card. So this VM in bridge mode on the network looks right alongside of the host itself. So if this is like 10.10.10.10, this computer could be 10.10.10.9 because they're on the same network. It bridges the network of the network overlay inside and the external network. And so that's why I've kind of drawn this here. It's actually connected to the external network that the host sees. In a NAT environment or a network address translation, this is kind of how your house works, right? Inside your house, there is your own private network that computers talk to, and it goes through a router, and that's how it gets to the network. And the same sort of concept here, but this internal NAT network isn't directly connected to the physical interface on the host. It's actually all internal, and then the host does the translating between these VMs and the internet itself. And so that's how NAT networking works. There can be several computers inside here that are connected to the NAT, but this network is usually provided DHCP by the host, and the host does all of its routing. Now, the other option is some people think of it as no networking, but that's not really the case. It's called local networking or host networking. And basically, this just means that the VMs are not connected at all to the external network or the live public network of the host machine. They're kind of in their own little bubble. So these two VMs can see each other just fine and they can communicate with each other, but they're not connected to the larger network over here. Now, the one other concept I want to cover is dual homed. And what that means is a VM, or any computer, but in our case, a VM that has two network connections. And if it has two network connections, those connections can be of a different kind. So, for example, here in our local or host network environment where these two can talk to each other but nobody else, this VM could also have a bridged network where it can talk to the internet over this network and then talk to the VM in this local network over here. So it can actually do this. And then you could actually set this up as a router. So this VM could use this as a router to go out if you want, because it's real networking underneath. But that's kind of what this setup is. Dual homed just means it has two network cards or, virtual network interfaces. And those network interfaces don't have to be on the same type of network. They can be on a completely different type of network. It's very complicated, but that means it's also very flexible. So when you think about virtual machines, just remember that they also have a virtualized network that is a real network. It's just overlaid over top of the physical network, and all of the routing and managing of packets is all handled with the software on the host machine. I hope this has been informative for you, and I'd like to thank you for viewing.